For as long as I can remember, my sister Ivory was always the creative one of us two siblings. She even made a career out of it. While I was working the typical office job, she made a name for herself teaching an intermediate art class. With her program being a rather popular option for up-and-coming artists, she had a good amount of spending money on top of a nice house. She even bought herself a nice little upscale apartment as a place for her to be creative and paint. Due to sudden recent unemployment, I was out of a place to stay. When I brought this up to her, without hesitation, she offered me the chance to stay in her apartment for the meantime. At least until I got back on my feet. The next day, I arrived at the place with a few blankets and my laptop. It really was a nice place, and it was located on the edge of the city. I decided to make use of my day by job searching. I went to the public library with my USB drive to print out some physical copies of my resume. I had already filled out a few online job applications, but I decided that applying in person could be smiled upon by certain businesses. After a day of walking around the city, I was excited to get back to the apartment and enjoy a sleep in a rather classy bed. My sister had told me that even though the area was pretty clean and friendly, some shady things had been reported as of recently. So I locked the door with the deadbolt and chain lock. I had purchased a few pre-cooked dinners from the store that day, so I decided to heat one up for dinner. I rather quickly finished eating my warmed-up pasta with gravy and retreated to the bedroom, which I was all set up in. The only other room the apartment had was the one my sister used for her art. The room had a few canvas paintings and blank sheets of poster board. After browsing Reddit for a while on my laptop, I decided to call it a night. After closing my computer, it didn't take me long to fall asleep. My eyes opened as I heard the deadbolt unlock. I pressed down on the home button for my phone, which was sitting on the nightstand. 3 a.m. Wow. My sister really must have had an unquenchable spark of creativity to come out this hour, I thought. Although I thought the time was a little strange, I knew that my sister had always been strange, and that's one of the reasons I loved her so much. I smiled as I heard her mumble and quietly chuckle to herself, but I wasn't completely sure where this odd sort of grinding sound was coming from. I shrugged it off and figured that it must have been some sort of crafty machine she was using for something with her art. Nothing seemed too out of the ordinary at the time, and I was really tired. Man, artists are so weird, I whispered to myself, and with that I drifted back to sleep. Morning came. My sister was gone and I was once again alone in the apartment. Since I had exhausted most plausible places for work the day before, I decided to spend the day bumming around the city and other places I hadn't explored. I gleefully got dressed and left the bedroom. I sure wasn't going to let some stupid loss of a crummy job ruin my life. I headed to the door. I stared at the chain lock.